complex emotional and personal narrative. The logic here falls apart when you look at the contradiction of this argument, stating that he wants Grimmjow vs Ichigo to be more similar to Ichigo vs Renji, while previously arguing that the exact two fights were similar in nature to each other during his comparison of the similarity.
Yes, they can be similar, but not entirely similar. We've already discussed this with the things that you've been saying.
Also, Eye Patch Wolf trash because he's going, oh, these bad because it's similar, but I want more similar.
Between Hueco Mundo and the Soul Society arc. Let's now look at Ichigo vs Grimmjow and prove how this encounter illustrates emotional narrative based on the very definition that Eyepatch Wolf stated earlier, which is that emotional narrative is the story that brings the two characters together. Their relationship they share is that of two rivals. Grimmjow first encounters Ichigo after he decides to rectify Ukiura's mistake of not killing him earlier. During their first encounter, not only does Grimmjow impale Rukia, he effortlessly schools Ichigo by soundly beating him into a pulp. After Ichigo activates his Bankai, he scars Grimmjow, and he chooses to not heal this as a reminder of his feud with Ichigo. And Ichigo, on the other hand, obviously wants payback for what Grimmjow did to Rukia, as well as returning the favor after he was easily beaten. This one exchange proves that an emotional narrative exists between the two of them, and this is only the first encounter out of 3 that they have. A whole month after their first encounter,
I was never counting this one in particular.
Okay.
They battle once more, but this time Ichigo has trained with the Vizards. Ichigo has something to prove, so he decides to return the beating from their first fight. This second battle can be analyzed to prove that a technical narrative also exists.
You don't need to analyze it. Is it good? Yeah, okay, good. What's there to analyze? Why are people breaking down all this crap?
Because they need to.
Just enjoy it. I understand you want to analyze it and you want to dig deeper and stuff. But as far as like technical narrative within a fight, I don't give no
Sometimes people don't work like that. Sometimes they need that. Sometimes it's just like, I can't enjoy a fight unless it is something.
We are halfway done with this video. This is going to be a 5-hour
Mamma mia.
Their feud. Firstly, Ichigo activates his holification, knowing full well that it has a time limit of 11 seconds. He unleashes a Getsuga Tencho at point blank range, which leaves Grimmjow severely wounded. Second, Ichigo has the upper hand after repeatedly attacking, until he is caught off guard and his holomask shatters. Third, this is the turning point of the battle, where Grimmjow takes and soundly beats Ichigo to a pulp once more. This illustrates the technical aspects to their second encounter. Yes, Rukia and Shinji intervene later, but this battle between the two of them shows how well matched Grimmjow and Ichigo are as rivals. Ichigo is given time to flex.
Ichigo is only beating him when he's amping himself, and when he doesn't,
it's just
he
like
can't beat him.
Goku Vegeta, where he hits the Kaioken, which is like, nah.
This is not a match because Grimmjow got a whole nother transformation that makes him more powerful.
That he has yet to break out.
Yeah.
And he's, at this point, armless. One arm.
This is no kind of match. So you go, Ichigo, if Ichigo can kill him in these 11 seconds, that's good. Otherwise, Ichigo's getting beheaded.
His new powers, but they are not perfected, which turns the tide of battle, allowing Grimmjow to once more prove that Ichigo still has a long way to go. He knows he won't stand a chance against Grimmjow unless he uses his holification and attempts to swiftly defeat him within a very tight time limit. This was Ichigo's choice of move, which led to Grimmjow checkmating him after his holomask shattered. Their third encounter, which takes place within Hueco Mundo, is a mixture of both emotional and technical narrative, and by Eyepatch Wolf's own definition, this makes it a great battle. Emotional narrative is at its peak during this encounter, as their last 2 encounters do well to build up to this third and final fight. The two of them, even before fighting, seem to have a mutual respect for each other as rivals. As Grimmjow takes Ichigo to Orihime so that he can be healed, Orihime refuses to heal Ichigo, as she doesn't want her powers to be used just so that Grimmjow can fight him. Ichigo is the one who reassures Orihime and tells her to continue healing him. He also tells her to heal Grimmjow after he was hurt from Ukiura's Sero. This shows that the two of them wanted to settle their feud on equal ground, and it demonstrates a mutual respect that they share with each other.
That was the laziest I've seen. He screenshotted or freeze framed Eyepatch Wolf's video, and Eyepatch has to do this so it's HD, so he has to do that bush 480p side stuff, and then he just zooms in on it. What are you doing? Why are you laziness?
During this third battle, Grimmjow tells Ichigo that he did not come to Hueco to save Orihime, suggesting that he was led by his instincts to battle Grimmjow. The inner manifestation of Kenpachi tells Ichigo during his training with the Vizards that this is true. Ichigo does enjoy fighting, as his instincts lead him to battle, which in turn gives him more strength, which he utilizes to protect his loved ones. In addition to this, their emotional narrative extends beyond their rivalry, as Grimmjow says that their feud is a long-standing one between Shinigami and Hollow. They were always destined to fight as sworn enemies of one another. His battle...
You can't say that. Ichigo could have easily fought the number 6 dude.
Yeah.
Grimmjow allows Ichigo to utilize his instinct, which is demonstrated through how he uses his hollow mask for longer. This is something that he was not able to do during their second encounter, and this is exactly what Hollow Ichigo was trying to teach to Ichigo during his famous speech about the King and the Horse. The emotional narrative between the two of them allows Ichigo to tap into his instinct in order to battle Grimmjow evenly. Even before landing the final blow to Grimmjow, he apologizes to him, and even has the decency to lower his body to the ground, proving that an emotional narrative did indeed take place here. From feelings of anger after what he did to Rukia, to mutual respect as rivals. This is the growth and development that I see during Ichigo vs Grimmjow. No, this battle
everybody should see that. It's pretty apparent. Eye Patch Wolf is not very good.
I thought that was clear.
does not lack character development, and it is certainly not devoid of emotional narrative in my opinion. Even in terms of technical narrative, this battle has several stages that ultimately lead to Ichigo checkmating Grimmjow. Firstly, Grimmjow fires a Gran Ray Saro towards Orihime and Nell. This forces Ichigo to activate his Hollow Mask to block the attack. Seeing that Ichigo is serious, Grimmjow releases his Resurrection. Second, Grimmjow has the upper hand and even withstands a Getsuga Tensho without any injuries. However, Ichigo persistently keeps up with Grimmjow as Kubo illustrates an excellent back and forth showing how evenly matched the two of them are. Third, Grimmjow beats up Ichigo while he is struggling to stay focused due to Orihime fearing his Hollow Mask that he has donned. She questions the motive behind Ichigo coming to Hueco Mundo. Was it really to save her, or was he guided by his instinct to... In this part of the battle, Grimmjow throws around Ichigo until he is beaten and exhausted, with half of his Hollow Mask remaining. In the fourth and final part of this battle, Ichigo is reassured by Orihime and no longer feels ashamed for using his Hollow powers, and he lands the final blow to Grimmjow, and this is the logical progression of actions that lead to Ichigo defeating Grimmjow. And this point that Eyepatch Wolf makes about Grimmjow disappearing from the story and reappearing as a cameo later on isn't correct. He is actually recruited by Urahara to assist the Shinigami in their fight against the Quincy. His involvement is instrumental to defeating Askin, and he has more than just a cameo appearance, as he literally joins Ichigo and the others to fight the Quincy within the Soul King's palace. So now I'm going to move on and address the whole...
If even that.
That's pretty much a cameo.
That whole thing
is very droning. It is
dry.
You know that TV tone where it's just and there are multiple colors? That's all it was. Just one solid... Just noise. Not really saying anything.
That were mentioned. The claim is that Bleach is filled with Starfingers. The Starfinger problem is derived from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. It is a convenient cheat to overcome the short-range limitation of Jotaro's attack, allowing him to close the distance between him and his opponent through a rather contrived method, which obviously is the Starfinger technique. Eyepatch Wolf says there are various examples used to demonstrate this occurring.
There are.
That's Deus Ex.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I had this argument with people that they said that Bleach is full of Deus Ex. Just because you have not seen a power does not make it a Deus Ex.
True, but there are direct counters like the
no.
They are there.
Oh, absolutely. But a lot of people were pointing to like Uryu Ishida. They're like, everything he does is a Deus Ex. Because he opens up the thing and he gets this immense power and it's just like Deus Ex. He does something against the doctor dude in Hueco Mundo and it's just like Deus Ex. Just because you haven't seen a power before does not inherently make it a Deus Ex, nor a Starfinger problem.
But then the third problem is at the very end where his dad just goes, here's the Yuha bot killer.
Yeah.
Here you go.
That's the dumb shit. That's what you need to point to. Not him unlocking a new ability or something. Because I even asked somebody, does that mean Luffy with Gear Second is a Deus Ex? Yes. Huh? Are you serious?
We'll see.
If that's the case, basically everything in Shonen is a Deus Ex.
If we are not explicitly told, "Hey, here it comes.
Here comes
here's
this power.
my exact moves, and here's what I can do, and I trained for it for this long." And it's like, My Hero has that problem and also doesn't have that problem because when he started using his black rope and his float, they had to just flash back to just go, yeah, he trained that with Uraraka and everybody else. He trained that. I go, don't shut up.
Very often within Bleach. His first example of this is Kenpachi using both of his hands to wield his blade in order to attack and defeat Noitora.
Wow,
the technique that Kenpachi
really?
uses is called Ryodan.
Using
Kenpachi
two
uses-
hands is a day. What?
Yeah.
Oh, Eye Patch Wolf is a bum.
Like I said, he's not very good.
Like you said, like we've been saying all along. Don't like you the progenitor of this. Like you like, okay, hear ye, y'all.
311, and he describes that the head captain had taught him kendo when he first joined the Gotai 13. He did not like the style, so he decided not to use it. However, he learned from his lessons with the head captain that swinging a sword with both hands makes it more lethal. This doesn't really need explaining, even in the context of the real world, because using both of your hands to wield and swing a blade.
Silly.
Yeah, it was an unnecessary thing, but it's not a Deus Ex.
Yeah, no. He just switched his style up. Not like he grew a whole new armor, but it's like, okay, time to pull out my third sword or my double Bankai.
I was really about to go for a joke, but I could not formulate it.
And more control and force being generated by a swing, as opposed to just swinging with one hand. So no, this isn't really a Starfinger problem in my opinion, and especially
It's not
if
in
it's
your opinion. It's not a problem.
I wish you would stop saying in his opinion. I hate it so much.
to Kenpachi, who knows a lot of techniques that he doesn't use out of preference. He says that the Shikai and Bankai of various different Shinigami inherently also have this problem. If you recall, he
If
praised
it's a perfect counter, absolutely. Oh, I've never used this Bankai, but it just so happens to be the counter to what you're doing.
I can break you apart at the molecular level. Well, good thing I can stitch myself back together.
for having a variety of Shikai and Bankai during his Soul Society arc breakdown, but now is criticizing them for these abilities. Some lieutenants do possess Bankai, but they keep this a secret due to their desire to remain in the positions that they are currently holding. In Bleach, the idea that the characters have a trick up their sleeve is prevalent through every arc. The reveal of a Shikai or Bankai is a highly moment, primarily because they often decide to hold back their powers and activate their Bankai as a last resort, or in some cases they win without the need for activating it. He then mentions Shunsui's battle with Lil, and how Nanao uses the Issei family Zanpakuto to defeat
100%.
Lil. We had full prior knowledge of this through the flashbacks, Shunsui having to hide the blade from Nanao's mother. We learn in chapter 600...
It happened like right before the sword was drawn. It wasn't given anywhere enough time. If this happened in chapter 300, we figured out about the sword thing, and then it came here, that'd be one thing. But it's like, we have an unstoppable god. Well, here's this unstoppable god sword killer. Oh, and here's the backstory to it. That's just like what happened with the dude that could transform into Yuha.
51 that the Zanpakuto she uses to defeat Lil has the ability to go face to face with a god, and then receiving and dispersing the god's power in all directions. The sword that she uses is well established as a divine...
It's not well established.
It is established right here and now.
Yes, well established would be like, we have this secret sword. Do we use it for Aizen? No, we can't. He doesn't have god powers. We can't use it for Aizen. It's not gonna work.
But just going, yeah, we have this god sword.
It's just like saying the thing, Team 11 or wherever the piss Asamas was, oh, the earrings are well established, because, no, come on, dude.
It is a holy sword which is passed down the Issei
Yeah, we
family,
know.
explaining how it is used to defeat the self-proclaimed god Lil. This problem that he states about Bleach's characters introducing a brand new element that the audience have no prior knowledge of also exists within One Piece. During Eni's lobby, Luffy out of nowhere uses the second and third gears.
Okay, so Luffy says, I have a new technique I want to try out. The reasoning he's able to use this technique is because he sees all these people kicking the ground a bunch, and that's what allows him to jump around fast and stuff. It's also something he's been thinking about since Aokiji. That's why he heats his body up.
And also, he saw a giant and went, I can make my fist giant.
Did he train to obtain these abilities since his last encounter with the CP9? Zoro's
He doesn't really train it because it's so imperfect that it's killing him. And later we see that he can just activate it in like one part of his body instead of doing his whole stance and pumping his legs. He can just do it in one part. That's the one. That's the trained one. This is just a very imperfect version of it.
And One Piece is very much about just breaking some out. Because, you got like Gum Fingernet. And it's just like, it makes sense, but when did he even think about it? But you don't think about it because who gives a sh-? That's the thing about a lot of this stuff. Who gives a sh-? Who gives a sh-? When Luffy thought about this? Who gives a sh- that Ishida breaks it and he can't use his powers anymore? It makes sense in the story itself. It's not, but you got this god killer that nobody can beat, and it's just like, well, here's the god killer sword. Oh, but let's do like a chapter backstory just to make it all nice and neat.
Nine Sword style also appears out of nowhere, as well as
It's just the aura.
Yeah, no, that's not a whole thing that he did. He just pumped. It's just an aura. Yeah, it's nothing. That's not a training thing.
He's Diablo Jambe.
Sanji saw Wanze when he was fighting him, the noodle dude. He saw his wheels create friction to the point that they create fire, and he goes, huh? And he goes, okay, maybe I can do that too. So he spins around so fast, just like Wanze was doing, to do that.
And again, it's imperfect because I think it's Shaba Odi, we see that it's hurting him as well.
Yeah, if he uses it too much, it hurts him.
Used without us having knowledge of prior training or their existence. This is something that a lot of long-running shonen stories do, and it is not exclusive to Bleach.
Yeah, I honestly believe that. A lot of, if you want to point out the problems of we see a power we didn't see and it's Deus Ex, it's going to be a problem because you're going to see that in a lot of shonen fights. Just accept it.
But it's also prevalent in Bleach, but he's just going, no, it's not, but it's also in other places.
Yeah,
so if it is, it's fine because it's in other places as well.
There are actual problems of Bleach, like in God Killer Sword, whatever he's talking about, that is a problem. And the whole, well, shoot this and Yuha block and it'll diffuse. It also a problem.
So following this, Eyepatch Wolf makes a big blunder in my opinion here by describing the Gente Kaijo seal as a concept that we had no prior knowledge of. The Shinigami removed this power limiting seal against Grimmjow's Fraction in chapter 209 so that they could use their full power. This concept was not introduced in chapter 209, but rather it was first mentioned all the way back in chapter 95 while Ichigo was battling Renji during the Soul Society arc. Renji tells Ichigo it is normal for Shinigami who are lieutenant or captain rank to have their powers suppressed when they go to the world of the living. This is to avoid influencing mortal beings. His suppression is quantified as a 5 times power decrease, which explains why Gente Kaijo is not Deus Ex Machina. It is strange that—
Yeah, that's fine. But this is like 2 sentences, 200 chapters back. It's understandable that he would forget about it.
Yeah, it's understandable he would forget about it or gloss over it. But also, if you're doing this big Bleach analysis, you should probably look into all the stuff you're doing. That's the problem I have with a lot of analysis people. They remember things as they remember them, or they do see those things and just go, well, I'm sure not a lot of people remember them, so I'm just gonna yada yada that.
The Eyepatch Wolf claims Bleach has weak world building, but overlooks these key points
It
which
does!
expand upon the law and world building of the series. His oversights lead to him making inaccurate statements to back up his arguments that he is trying to justify. So this point of Starfinger problems is brought full circle and applied to Ichigo and his powers. The claim is that Ichigo defeats all of his opponents with a convenient huge surge of energy. Opponents like Ikaku, Renji, Kenpachi, Byakuya, Grimmjow and Ukiura are no match for his Starfinger apparently. The points that are made during this portion of the video personally show to me that Wolf has little to no understanding of Ichigo's powers, or his past progression and royal lineage, and how these aspects result in him possessing latent untapped potential and unique forms and abilities. One point that really felt like it was self-explanatory, at least when I read the manga, was how Ichigo did not adopt Hollow Ichigo's way of fighting, because their encounters in my opinion are focused on changing Ichigo's psyche and forcing him to step out of his comfort zone, rather than the simplified view of wondering why Ichigo isn't wasn't swinging and launching his Zanbakuto like Hollow Ichigo after training with him. Hollow Ichigo has a very unique and distinctive fighting style which matches his personality, and it would look bizarre to see Ichigo try to emulate this. Continuing on with the video, Ippo is used as an example of how a character progresses and goes from learning the fundamentals of boxing and combining his knowledge to eventually pull off the Dempsey role, resulting in a very satisfactory moment. He makes the point that Goku going Super Saiyan does not end the fight, like how Ichigo apparently ends each
No, that fight was over.
Yeah.
He toyed around with Frieza the whole time.
To the point where where Frieza goes, I can transform to 100% of my 100% power. And you go, yeah, do it.
And still beats him easily. And then eventually he just goes, yeah, this isn't fun. Your power keeps dropping. You're not a match for me. I'm out.
after a sudden power boost. When Ichigo released his Bankai against Byakuya, it did not end the fight, nor was this the case when he used his Hollow Mask against Grimmjow, or returned from his training in the Dangai to face off against Aizen. If you want to talk about progression, let's start with how Ichigo began his training with Urahara with literally no powers. His training with Urahara served to activate his inner Shinigami powers that he inherits from his father.
Okay, I can already see where you're going with this. This is bush. What he's going is everything that Ippo did led up to something like the Dempsey role. He's just going, I gotta go lower, this is my style, blah, 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 blah. Ichigo goes, okay, here's my spirit powers. Oh, Bankai, I don't know how to do that. Okay, here's how you do it. Oh, this thing, oh, I don't know how to do that. Well, here's how you do it. Oh, this thing, I don't know how to do it. Well, here's how you do it. He gets constant training in the thing. Ippo's was just a natural progression of all the things he learned that led into this one moment.
Same time, this activates his hollow powers too. If you want to know about how Ichigo has hollow powers, I go in depth into Hollow Ichigo and the origin of these powers in my Hollow Ichigo character analysis. He then comes to learn the name of his Zanbakuto, which
Dude, we have to watch so much.
We gotta do homework to understand why iPad Wolf is wrong.
It's so much.
allows him to utilize his Shikai in chapter 67. And when Ichigo reaches the Soul Society, he is trained by Yoruichi so that he may activate his Bankai. Through the interferences of Hollow Ichigo, we are introduced to the next point of progression for Ichigo's powers, which is to control his hollow powers. Training with the Vizards helped with the control of his inner hollow, but under the condition that Ichigo mustn't die. This leads to Ichigo being able to control his hollow mask for a short period of time, which is eventually extended as he progresses through Hueco Mundo, and eventually
this is what I don't get. It has to be so people go to those other videos. You spend so little time of going, well, he's wrong because of this. If you watch my video, you would understand. But you spend so much time just regurgitating the basic.
What happens.
It's just the synopsis of what happens. So why not use that time to go, I said in this video, and if you want the whole thing, watch it, as opposed to going, they have to train Ichigo this way and he mustn't die and da-da-da. We know that. What I don't know is what the is going on with Honeybell. So how about you tell me that instead of going, go watch this video, but iPad Wolf wrong.
Gets to the brink of death, which summons his inner hollow to take over his being, and instinctively fights for survival, which ultimately causes Ulquiorra's death. His Vastolore form taking over causes him to be fearful of his inner hollow. He begins to reject his hollow powers and stops holofying altogether, until he trains in the Dangai, that is. Here he faces his fears and realizes that he has to accept his inner hollow as a part of himself instead of rejecting it. This eventually leads to him learning the final Getsuga Tensho in order to defeat Aizen. Now this is a simplified explanation of the linear progression of Ichigo's powers. If you really pay attention to the different moments where Ichigo trains, all of this stuff is self-explanatory and pretty easy to follow. Like I said before, if you want a deeper explanation of Ichigo's powers, then check out my Hollow Ichigo analysis. I don't agree with this take that Ichigo always resorts to a giant surge of power in order to defeat his opponents.
Kenpachi, hey, how about you learn the name of your ink sword? Okay. Man, that's how that was won. Byakuya. Oh, here comes the hollow. And that was basically the end of the fight, dude. It's whatever you're saying. And that's how that was resolved. Aizen. Well, here comes a year of training from out of nowhere. Here you go.
And a whole new form.
Here's the thing. 80%
Ulquiorra was just, oh, here comes this super hollow.
80% of his power-ups were basically, hey, go inside your sword
And pull out a power.
And pull out a power.
Almost all of Ichigo's victories that he never completely defeats his opponents. If you recall, Grimmjow was taken out by Naotora. Aizen
No,
What
Grimmjow
does
is
it
pretty.
matter?
He's
beaten.
pretty defeated.
What does it matter if he deals the final blow? Who gives a
Hey, I guess Vegeta beat Raccoon, huh? Guess that was just his victory.
Goku didn't do it.
was sealed by Urahara. An example of when Ichigo did indeed completely defeat an opponent is during the Ukiura fight. The power surge that occurs is due to Ichigo allowing himself to be brought to death's door. This causes him to switch places with his inner hollow, who ends up killing Ukiura. And continuing on from this point, I believe that there are very valid reasons to justify why the sales of Bleach were at their highest point during the Arrancar arc. A lot of counter arguments that I have presented so far explain this clearly, refuting the notions of Bleach's story becoming weaker with time. I keep saying this, but I really wish Eyepatch Wolf studied in.
It did become weaker with time because it wasn't as tightly structured.
Yeah, I feel like a big problem of it was in the Soul Society arc, you got your little team, and we've known these team members, Chad and Audio and everybody, since the beginning. But here comes, I love her, but freaking, what are the names? It's this sword girl, the little girl that I love.
Oh, the blind girl?
No, the captain.
Soifon?
Soifon. Yeah, here comes Soifon. We've seen her in one fight. She's had maybe 3 scenes up until the end. And now she's fighting the king of all Hueco Mundo, who we also don't know. This doesn't involve Ichigo, Chad, none of these people that we've spent all this time with. So of course you're just gonna be like, well, I don't really care because I don't really know what all these people can do, and they're not the people that I've grown accustomed to. So that's why I can see people just going, yeah, I'll check back in once Ichigo pops back up.
And then on top of that, you've got fights like the 2 doctors fighting each other where it's just like, well, my ability will poison, well, I can reconstruct. And it's just like, what? Yeah. I don't care.
Unless we got like hard data or studies or surveys or something, we can't really say exactly why the sales started declining.
On top of that, you've got a lot of characters that just do not get good fights in Hueco Mundo. What is the good Uryu fight? That's my favorite character. Ishida is my favorite character. What is his good fight?
Sandwich.
That's what we going with?
Yeah, so if you like him, it's just like, well, I'm not getting what I want.
Where's Chad? What's his good fight?
And so you have to sit there and deal with, oh, here comes all these Vizards.
And here's
I don't care about these Vizards.
Here's another thing. There are so much more fighting in Hueco Mundo, but the fighting isn't as good.
Soul Society was a legit like 5-6 fights.
And each one was good. Like Kenpachi and Ichigo is still a really, really, really good fight. Uki and Ichigo, it's not that great. So, you get so much more of the fighting, but it matters so much less to you because it's just not as good. Or you're getting a bunch of characters that you don't really care about. Or the characters that you did care about don't really do that much.
Into the deeper themes of the Arrancar arc, we didn't get a single mention of Esparta's varying aspects of.
We're 20 minutes left. You're about to go into the themes of the Esparta arc. You have not talked about the 1,000-year blood war in depth. You have not talked about Fullbringer in depth. Those 2 arcs suck balls.
No, he's talking about the good stuff. He's gonna yada yada over the bad stuff.
Of what leads to Ukiura eventually feeling what it means to be human through the heart. Instead, this new video just feels like weak arguments backed up by points which are easily refutable or proven to be insubstantial. I have to wonder if these portions of the story were appreciated with the same level of care and attention to detail as is read-through of the early portions of the story.
This is the 4th, 5th time that you said this. He needs to analyze it like he did before. He is, and he's finding the trash. But you're just going, no, inverses and this and this and this.
All theories, and then in your opinion, and that's why it's not as good. If he would have praised it, would you have still felt the same way? Oh, he didn't analyze it as good as he should have. He just said it was really, really good. but because he's saying it's really bad, the reasoning behind why he thinks it's bad, some of it is very surface level, and that's Eye Patch Wolf is a very surface level analyst.
Outside of the flat out wrong stuff that he said, you've not really said that Eye Patch is wrong. Yeah, he's right, but
during the Soul Society arc are still present during the Arrancar arc. The next portion of the video praises the fake.
Okay, the things he praised in Soul Society is because that was the only thing. Now he has something else, and the things are still there, but they're the same thing. So can he still praise them the same way? No, he's going, they're the same things, and that's why I'm not praising them. And you're going, yes, they're the same things, but you should praise them because they're the same things.
It's the same things, but worse.
Battle, and in particular Aizen, who is described as a terrifying, cold and calculated villain. He is praised for having manipulated the entire situation from the very beginning of the series. The battle between Ichigo and Aizen is described as desperate and tense, also praising it for being exactly how a final battle should be, but he then tells us that the final encounter was anticlimactic from his perspective. So some points are made.
It was!
Yes.
Ichigo and Aizen fight, and then here comes Urahara was just like, I got this.
Yeah. And Aizen just like, I'm the ultimate being, ha ha ha. Ichigo, before you went into that tunnel, you couldn't even fight Gin, who sucks. And then all of a sudden he's just face in him? It's like, wait a second. Just easily.
About Ichigo and his motives as a character and how they feel exhausted. He is described as being lost, even saying that the final battle with Aizen feels like there isn't much of a story left to tell. While I disagree with these takes, there is one that I also can't get behind, and this is his opinion that that final battle does not feel personal. The final battle with Aizen, in my opinion, is incredibly personal. It is a battle against a villain who is dissatisfied with the structure of the world and desires to take the seat of God, aiming to rule reality through his own perfect image. Everything that Ichigo loves about the world, not to mention
Pause. Why could it not be anybody else then? Everything that Ichigo loves about the world. Okay, everything that Chad loves about the world. Does that make it personal? That this dude is just trying to destroy the world that Chad lives in and likes? Is that what's making this personal? Because that's not what's personal. Luffy Lucci is personal because you got my crewmate.
You're literally the wall in front of my crewmate.
And this is just, you're gonna.
Whereas Magellan and Luffy isn't personal, but you're still a wall to what I'm to get my brother. But that's not personal because you didn't take it away.
Yeah.
And family is on the line here. I go into a lot of detail about Aizen's.
That's literally every character in the world. It's not personal to Ichigo. It's just something that's gonna be for any character that would go against Aizen.
Motives throughout the series, and in particular during this final battle.
Oh! I can't take it.
Oh, you're gonna take it raw.
Dude, you can't keep doing this.
Can't I though? How about another one?
Honestly.
One more for you.
During my Aizen character analysis, I have to direct you to that video. A lot of the deeper, nuanced aspects of the story, which I believe Eye Patch Wolf is overlooking.
Okay, even if he is, how's it still disagreeing that it's personal between the two? Or impersonal? You've yet to explain. And I very much doubt all the nuances of Aizen's character explain why it's personal to Ichigo.
Dude, it's 52 minutes. He can bush a lot in 52 minutes.
His journey up until this point feels like it prepares him with a lot of the tools that he needs to perfectly counter Aizen in battle. He combines his sense of reasoning, which he perfects during the Soul Society arc, with his newfound sense of instinct, which he has acquired through overcoming his fear and...
How is that personal?
We gotta watch that video. Round 2.
rejection of his inner hollow throughout the Arrancar arc. Both of these aspects are used in order to defeat Aizen, who has discarded all of his instinct and reason. I mean, look at both of them. At this point, Aizen and Ichigo are both transcended beings. Aizen attains transcendence via the Hokyoku in an attempt to break through the limitations of a Shinigami and a hollow. The whole concept of a transcended being is based on having attained spiritual pressure which exceeds the norm. Ichigo does not rely on an outward force, which in this case is the Hokyoku, to attain his enlightenment. Instead, Instead, he goes inward and transcends naturally through a willingness to let go and sacrifice everything in order to defeat Aizen. You can see the clash in ideologies through their different methods of attaining transcendence. There is so much more detail that I go into.
A question. Can't people that don't have spiritual energy not see Shinigami? Isn't that why Rukia disappears before his eyes? Didn't he give it all up for power? So why does he still have some?
Are you talking about in the Fullbringer arc?
No, why does he still have some right now to fight Aizen?
Oh, I think that he didn't give it up yet.
That makes no sense.
Near it.
Okay, yeah. He says he has to. If he uses this move, he
goes full gone.
But he also has this increased physical power right now, which means he had to give something up for it. So he's like half giving it up?
No, I think he just trained a year and just hit God
No,
level.
they literally said you gave up your powers and put it all into physical.
I think that was when he did the final Getsuga Tensho.
No, because that's how he grabs Aizen and pushes him all the way back. It was pure physical.
Yeah, I think that was just him. I think it was just.
So
him
what
doing
happened
amazing.
there? Oh, okay.
I think that the final Getsuga Tensho was just like you're using it all up.
Okay, so he uses it all up, and then he gets to say goodbye to everybody, and then it magically at this precise moment ends with Rukia.
Correct. Is there an issue there? You get technical, emotional narrative.
Starfinger.
Aizen character analysis, so I urge you to watch that in order to really understand how.
You've urged us twice to watch that instead of just saying the synopsis of what that was.
It's a good video. It's a long, good video.
Regards as humanity, and in his own words goes to the edge of reason, as opposed to Ichigo, who accepts his humanity and ultimately ends up remorse for Aizen after he felt loneliness emanating from his Zanpakuto. This rollercoaster of ideologies, emotions, and conflicting methods of attaining power make for a climactic final encounter, I believe. However, I do understand how this would be difficult to see if there is only surface level assessments of their battle being made.
What was personal?
He just said.
No, he didn't.
Yes,
he said
Aizen is gonna destroy everything that Ichigo loves. Watch this video.
The fact that Ichigo felt remorse after defeating Aizen proves the personal and emotional element to their final fight.
See?
How's that personal?
It proved it. The fact that he felt remorse. Because he's like, oh, your Zanpakuto is lonely. And he knows what it feels like to have a lonely Zanpakuto. So he felt that. And he went, oh, and then it was just like, oh, this is personal now. And then he lost his power. That's what happened.
Okay, so
didn't you watch his video?
Why is it personal to Aizen?
Ichigo, Aizen sacrificed all this stuff to obtain the Hyogoku, and then he put it within himself. He's like, yeah, I'm a god now. And then this dude comes up with just like a year of training, who he just saw 5 minutes ago, and then beats him up. And he's like, oh, man. And then he's like, oh, man. I was like, I got nothing. What was next? He just beat him.
Having reached a godly form was alone after getting so close to sitting on his throne as a god. The loneliness that Aizen ends up feeling causes the Hokyoku to reject him. Ichigo this during their battle and even theorizes that Aizen this whole time may have truly desired for someone to just see things from his perspective and share his worldview. That someone who could have seen things from his perspective is indeed Urahara, but he adopts a philosophy of acceptance of the status quo after learning about the true nature of reality. Urahara and Aizen are polar opposites when it comes to their approaches, but they are similar through truly being able to understand the reasoning behind their individual actions. This is why Aizen says that he despises Urahara, saying with a mind as brilliant as his, how can he accept the Soul King and the current nature of reality? This is one of Aizen's final lines before he is sealed. Through these words, he reveals to us the only person who could have truly seen things from his perspective. I find it difficult to relate with Eyepatch Wolf's point that Ichigo has no motive or feels lost during this battle, especially
motive?
After reading Gin's final moments and what he feels in Ichigo's eyes. He looks at Dangai Ichigo and notices a difference in the expression of his eyes. Previously, Ichigo's eyes showed fear, doubt.
The eyes, though! That's why it's great! The eyes! Bringing it back, episode 1.
His eyes can see fate or whatever he said.
His eyes are finally
open to fate.
However, after his training, he challenges Aizen with eyes that radiate with confidence, power, and understanding. Gin notices this and affirms for us that Ichigo is anything but lost during this moment. Aizen vs Ichigo is not a battle of good versus evil. It is a conflict grounded in discussions of reasoning and conflicting ideologies. Aizen wanted to be
What?
You gotta watch the video for his.
I guess so.
He's just saying words until then.
So it's really just not good guy versus bad guy. It's ideologies versus clashing and blah 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 and yak.
God, discarding that which made him a human, as opposed to Ichigo, who fully accepted his humanity through willingness to sacrifice his powers to stop the opposition. We then transition onto the Fullbring arc, which he prefaces by saying that the problems of world building and Ichigo being reactionary have grown to become disastrous to Bleach's story. This arc takes place 17 months after the defeat of Aizen. During this whole period of time, Ichigo is powerless and tries to come to terms with this. Eyepatch Wolf says that Ichigo is reactionary, but I mentioned previously that he has a mixture of active and reactionary moments throughout the series. He criticizes Ichigo during this arc because apparently he has nothing to push his character forward. Eyepatch Wolf's perspective is that something external has to happen for him to progress with the story. We know through following his journey during this arc that he struggles with accepting his powerlessness. The whole arc does well to convey to us the anguish that he feels deep within his psyche due to his inability to protect his loved ones. He has dreams of the Soul Society, a world that he can no longer visit. He tries to move on and says that he doesn't miss Rukia and the others, but in
That's anime. Because he did not have dreams in the manga.
Oh, whoops.
reality, he wants to get his powers back. This arc is a reboot to the beginnings of Bleach. If you recall, at the start of the series, Ichigo says that he never felt superior to others just because he could see ghosts. He also states that he doesn't want to use this ability to help others. For the longest time, he just wished that he couldn't see ghosts, and even told people that he could not see them as a child, despite him being able to see them as clear as day. The Fullbring arc has this wish fulfilled. He can no longer see ghosts, nor can he use his powers to protect his loved ones. The main theme of this arc is loss, as we follow Ichigo trying to regain that which he has lost. We quickly learn that Ichigo is not enjoying life like he thought he would have. After having his powers taken away from him, he finds it hard to come to terms with his life and his new state of being. In chapter 2 of the series, he was reluctant to help Rukia with her.
How great would it have been if that was just the ending?
Oh, great.
Bye bye Bleach.
That's it. He got what he wanted, but it's not what he wanted. Whoops.
And then he could even the ending. How about this for an ending? Orihime, and it would even make more sense for Ichigo and Orihime in that aspect because he doesn't even know Rukia, or he can't see Rukia or whatever. Anyway, Rukia goes to check up on him, but the kid can see her, and kid starts waving.
That'd be good.
And Ichigo turns around and just smiles, and that's the end. As opposed to this old bullshit final 2 arcs that legitimately ruined the legacy of Bleach.
Duties by taking up the role of a Shinigami. The difficulty to accept powerlessness in this arc shows growth and development for Ichigo's character, especially when you compare his character to the start.
Isn't that regression? Shouldn't he be like, I protected everybody in the best way that I possibly could, saved the world, I'm good. Chad, Orihime, and Uri are just like, we'll handle the ghosts. You chill out.
And hollows and stuff.
And they do. And he's just like, oh man, me too.
Why can't I also do it now?
They don't need protection. They doing their own thing. That's
when
regression.
He didn't want to take up the responsibility
trash
abilities of a Shinigami. One point that contradicts Eyepatch Wolf's opinion that Ichigo is reactionary is his active decision that he makes during this arc to seek out execution in order to regain his powers. We also learn some supplementary information from the Bleach light novel.
Nope, kill that noise. We know what we know. I ain't watching no other videos to figure out your point, and I'm not reading no book to tell me anything about what he was doing in between then and now.
Kill that noise.
No, this is freaking Mother's Basement crap. Where he was like, yeah, ReZero is real good. If you watch the other stuff.
Save the strawberry. We learn that Ichigo continued to help people during the 17 months that he was powerless. We also see confirmation of this during the Fullbring arc at the beginning when he runs after a thief who has stolen Ginjo's bag. While he is talking about the Fullbring arc, iPad was then direct.
Why do we need the book if we saw it?
Huh?
He continues to help people in the book, and then here's him in the anime helping people. Why do we need the book?
What's that?
When are we gonna get the dirty boots?
Compares the world building of One Piece to Bleach, but I feel the comparison is difficult to make as One Piece is set in an entirely fictional world, while Bleach is set within the real world. He praises One Piece.
Are you serious? Yeah,
the real world of the Soul Society. It's set in Japan, sure, but then you got in 8 other realms. You forgetting that, dude? Come on!
Introducing characters and concepts early in the series, but does not notice Bleach introducing concepts early on, like the Gentei Kaijo point that I mentioned before, as well as Hollow Ichigo from the very beginning of the series telling Ichigo that he is his Zanpakuto Zangetsu. In addition to this, the concept of Yhwach as an end villain was introduced by Rukia as early as chapter 46. When she tells Ichigo the Quincy were destroyed by the Shinigami, she describes Shinigami as maintaining order in the world. An equal amount of souls must exist in the Soul Society and the real world. An imbalance would cause the two worlds to shift, causing destruction to both realities. Shinigami maintain order by sending the souls back to the...
Oh, that's a problem.
Then do Shinigami execute people whenever Quincy kills a hollow? Just so that soul doesn't...
Yeah, there's an imbalance already, so...
Because, that soul is gone forever now.
When Uryu was just like, all right, Ichigo, let's have a competition to see who can kill the most hollows, he killed a lot of hollows. So now we have an imbalance. And what happens now? How is this introducing Yuha? The concept of Yuha, sorry. Well, I guess that's all that matters, as long as it's just the concept.
Correct.
Society, but Quincy completely destroy a hollow and its soul, thus causing the souls entering the Soul Society to reduce, which causes that shift in balance. The very concepts of life and death would be combined when the two worlds tilt into each other due to this imbalance. Clearly, this introduces to us the concept of Quincy's and hinting at Yhwach's end goal. Yuha wanted to rid the world from the concept of death to cause this very shift in balance. The context and information we need to understand.
Then why didn't he just execute a lot of hollows?
That's too easy. He has to prove a point.
By taking out the king?
Yes.
Why we should be invested in Yhwach's goal is explained to us by Rukia right at the beginning of the series. I covered my points about world building in much more detail earlier. I am not saying One Piece does not have incredible world building. I am trying to point out that this is not the definitive metric that should be used to assess the quality of a series. The world building of...
It's just too good. You can't.
Yeah, you can't. Here's the thing. World building is not inherently going to make the story good, nor great or anything, but you also, it's hard to compare it to One Piece, which might just be one of, if not the greatest aspects of world building in history, in history of fiction.
Bleach can be appreciated.
Look how dense this is, and we've seen so much of it. And then look at all the crap we never saw nor never will see.
And just like when Rayleigh said in Shop Audience, it's like, okay, everybody just takes their own different pack, compared whatever the Climatak sends you. So Kid is over here taking his whole different path, having his own different adventure, and Luffy could have been over there. There's a whole bunch of islands that we've never seen, which is why I don't want One Piece 2 Shippuden Z Super.
Through this image, which shows the various different realms that exist within the Bleach universe.
Okay, we have seen 1, 2, 3, 4.
Multiple Valley of Screams.
Never seen it. Okay, what are those other realms? They're not even named.
We only see Heck in the movie, and we bringing movie into this stuff because Ichigo got a real stupid form in that movie.
We're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 realms that aren't even named, and one multiple valley of screams. I don't even know. So we're just gonna go 8, as opposed to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 that are named, and I'm counting multiple valley of screams in that 9. So really, if I were to just remove that one for both, it would be 8 and 8. So half of the series we don't even know. And even with Soul Society, we don't know. We barely know a fourth of the entire world.
And then in the Royal Palace, we've only got like 100 chapters there, maybe, towards the very, very end of Bleach.
The different realms give a sense of location and understanding
No,
to the
they
different
don't.
concepts that we are introduced to. Eyepatch Wolf then tells us in the video that with the defeat of Aizen, every major story point and character arc has been concluded. He also says that there is nothing strong enough to keep us invested in the next story arc.
No, that's right.
There could have been, though. They could have introduced something new that would have been... Because before the whole Aizen thing, if they were rescuing Rukia, what's left? Mm-hmm. So they could have absolutely introduced something that could have been interesting. But if they would have cut out the Fullbringer and it was more about Quincy's and stuff, that could have been interesting because the Quincy stuff
and everything,
and it's not wrapped up yet. As opposed to the Fullbringer arc, which is just a middle arc of nothing.
From some minor unanswered plot threads. I personally don't think that the origin of Ichigo's powers is a tiny unanswered plot thread. Learning that he has inherited Quincy abilities and
we learned it in this arc that he has inherited Quincy abilities. So it wasn't unanswered. He was just if it was just like
explore it more further on.
Yeah, if it was just he got the hollow power, he got the Shinigami power, that's completely understandable. It's like, okay, done. We don't need to learn anything else. Don't say it like, no,
Bakto are very significant character-defining moments for Ichigo.
30
Before
votes!
any of
You
this,
saw her?
I personally was invested into the story at this point to understand how Ichigo would deal with his inability to protect, which has been his driving motivation throughout the series. How can you not be fascinated to see the future of a character who has his powers taken away from him through no choice of his own? He was forced.
It was his choice. He gave it up. You said he sacrificed it to be Aizen.
Oh, no.
It was literally his choice. And now he regrets that choice because he can't protect people. But there's nobody left to really protect. Until the Fullbringer arc where it's just like, okay, maybe I need to do some extra to protect people.
Accept his loss of powers in order to defeat Aizen. The consequences of his actions are revealed to us during the Fullbringer arc. The Fullbringer arc is described by Eyepatch Wolf as having no meaningful direction, and it feels like canonical filler and a waste of time to him.
Absolutely yes.
It was a very poor arc.
Explain why this arc was done with meaningful intent by Kubo and was not created just to give Bleach a new reason to exist. Eyepatch Wolf admits that it is powerful that Ichigo was cut from the world of the Shinigami and returned to being a regular teenager like he was at the beginning of the series. Through his own words, Wolf affirms the notion that the Fullbringer arc is a reboot arc of sorts, returning us to the beginning of Bleach. He says that the Fullbringer arc undoes the sacrifice that Ichigo makes at the end of the Arrancar arc. I think this isn't correct when you consider the direction of this arc and how it fits into the context of the whole series. Ichigo is actually struggling to accept his life without the...
Can I just say, I really love that dude's power, and I wish he was there more. Where it's just like, he's always been here. What are you doing? Yeah. I wish that was explored more. It's just like, this dude is the villain, and I'm punching him. Ichigo, why are you going crazy?
He shows up at Ichigo's house, and his little sister's like, hey, it's your friend. He's like, oh no. Yeah, that's good. That's some pretty good stuff.
I really wish it was explored.
How about no?
How about no?
How about a little cameo at the end of the 1,000 year, huh? Sprinkle.
His powers. Regaining his powers is the central premise of the Fullbringer arc, as well as adding to the world building of the series through explaining the concept of Fullbringers, which in turn explains...
They introduced and explained it in this arc.
which has no real bearing on any other part of the series.
Outside of, I guess, further exploring Ichigo's power, and now it's just another thing that he is.
Origins of Orihime and Chad's powers, while also revealing to us that there was more than one substitute Shinigami. Eyepatch Wolf wants world building, but
Isn't there? No, there's not. He's right.
fails to notice it during his analysis. He describes the Fullbringers
It's not that he fails to notice it. He doesn't care in what he's talking about.
as a brand new concept that gives us a brand new combat system. But we know that this is not the case through Chad and Orihime having utilized Fullbring abilities since the beginning of the series.
They utilized abilities and now they just gave it a name. We didn't need the name. I never questioned, wait a second, how did they get their, I just went, no, they got their powers.
Also,
they're very spiritually in tune, so I guess that just gives you a power.
Also, their powers are very much not like the other Fullbring powers. Because what is Chad's thing? He just gets a thing on his arm, but it's like, within this world, I can control everything within this game world. Well, the dirtier my boots become, blah, 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 blah. Usually what happens is their Fullbring is a representation of whatever tragedy they faced in their life. What tragedy did Chad face where it's just like, well, I got big arm now.
Big arm.
Or Ime got a bunch of little minions.
I guess the need to protect and keep people alive and heal them and crap and stuff and junk.
Ichigo decides to take up Ginjo's offer. He uses the members of Execution in order to restore his powers. He makes this decision after feeling frustration and power.
So where her son comes in and she puts some on the apron, it's just like, oh, sweetie, please.
You're like, who the f is this?
More just characters, please.
More character stuff. That is good stuff. But then we gotta bring this mother in here. He gotta come farting his way into our lives.
Because his loved ones are trying not to trouble him, knowing that there is a sinister presence threatening them. In chapter 433, Chad tells Ichigo that he knows he wants to fight once more. He knows Ichigo is hurt knowing that he cannot protect others. Chad knows he is struggling to come to terms with losing his powers. This explains why his friends and family express their concerns towards Ichigo during this arc. They see his fake smile and his shift in mood, and they are aware he is troubled by something. And this is exactly why this arc is meaningful and substantial to the story. It is in Ichigo's personality to conceal his worries. As a result, during this arc he is hiding that he misses Rukia, the Soul Society, and ultimately hiding his powerlessness. Chad tells him not to hide these emotions anymore, because if you haven't guessed it, fighting to protect those around him is the essence of Ichigo's character. So far, I have spoken a lot about Ichigo's psychology during this arc, but I have not mentioned how significant this arc is to progress Ichigo's powers. Personally, I don't think Eyepatch Wolf completely understands the meaning behind Ichigo's transformations, and how his transformations are impacted by the multiple sources of power that he possesses. For the context of the Fullbring arc, we need to know that up until this point, Ichigo's hollow powers didn't translate into Fullbring, because his hollow powers formed in his Shinigami form. When he loses his Shinigami powers, he learns to call upon his hollow powers during this arc while in his base human form. So when his Shinigami powers were returned to him by Rukia and the others, his hollow and Shinigami powers were able to be fused. This explains the change in Ichigo's clothing, why his Fullbring markings are now visible on his body, and now he has a new Shinigami Shihakusho. Prior to now, Ichigo could only call upon his hollow powers through donning a hollow mask, but as we know during this arc, he mastered his Fullbring powers, allowing them to merge with his Shinigami powers. This results in his current Zanbakudo Zangetsu being complete. Recalling back to his...
What point is he countering?
Dude, it's so long.
He's just giving a synopsis.
It's so many words.
I'm just like, wow, this arc is bad.
There's a lot of sentences.
He's just talking, and I'm like, wait.
The syllables do not stop.
We can't say anything against it because, like, yes, this is the stuff that happened. You are indeed saying what happened.
Training with Hollow Tensei Zangetsu, Ichigo was told that his Hollow and Shinigami powers have always been one. Now at the end of the Fullbring arc, they have finally become one. To arrive at this... is not a waste of time. This arc serves as a necessary step for the progression of Ichigo's powers, setting him up for the final arc, while also solidifying Ichigo's purpose and his development as a character who desires to protect those around him. The Fullbring arc was a totally different story structure, one that drifted away from the things that Wolf criticized the previous arc for, being similar to the Soul Society arc. This arc has always been one of my favorites within Bleach. It felt
Whoa! Fullbringer real bad.
It's not. I mean, it's got dirty boots, and that's a positive. We're agreeing to that. You're nodding your head. Other than that, it's real bad. It is really. I remember just watching it. We was back from Mike's place. I remember just watching, like, what is this? This is trash. Cause it's just a whole bunch of characters that you don't care about,
Doing a bunch of things you don't care about.
a bunch of new powers, and
then it's just like a twist at the end, and then here comes all the captains giving Ichigo his powers back in a fight that I just do not care about. I don't care about Gentro or wherever that man's name is. I don't care about these characters. I can't name them. Right now, can't. I just read. Don't say Dirty Boots.
Can you name Dirty Boots?
Was that her name?
I don't believe it was.
No, I think that was the thing of her stand.
I think it was
I
her.
mean,
And look up Bleach Dirty Boots, and I hope I don't get like some cleaning product. Nope, her name was Jackie.
of course it was.
We're going with Dirty Boots.
Dude. And this arc doesn't really matter because they don't come into play for the final arc. Everybody else comes back and does something.
Wasn't there a dude that could stop time or something?
It was something with his watch.
That would have been really useful.
How about an elevator though? And then those Vizard bastards doing nothing.
And what would have really been different if they just hopped out and just went, here you go, Ichigo, here's your powers back. Not too much.
Suspenseful, and it left me feeling emotionally distraught, seeing Ichigo broken and pleading with Ginjo and Tsukishima to return his powers to him after their betrayal. Eyepatchwolf then continues the video by describing how the anime ceased production after the Fullbring arc, which he says is strange as the manga had one more arc left to go. This isn't as strange when you realize how much buffer space the anime had to the manga at the end of the Fullbring arc. The final episode of Bleach aired on the 27th of March 2012, covering up to chapter 479, which released on January 11th, 2012. Chapter 480, which was the start of the Thousand Year Blood War arc, did not release until 3 weeks after chapter 479 was released. This was in order to give Kubo time to research and plan his next arc. When the anime concluded, the manga was only 9 chapters ahead, so instead of animating more filler arcs, the decision was made to stop the anime with every intention to return to adapt the final arc at some point in the future. So no, it wasn't cancelled. Their intent to return to adapt the final arc has been confirmed to be true, with the Thousand Year Blood War arc being announced.
Yeah. What, 5 years later? For all intents and purposes, it was canceled. It wasn't a sniff of the next anime for years and years.
Japanese TV is very different from American TV, where in Japanese you need to keep pumping out episodes to stick to the time slot that you have, which it could be a good or a bad time slot, but you need to pump out the episodes to keep that time slot. If you go away for a while, there's no telling if you get your shit back.
Yeah.
In America, you're set basically.
Unless you're like a proven thing with a new proven system like My Hero.
Yeah.
But other than that, if it's like, yeah, we're taking a break. Why don't you make more filler? No, we're just taking a break. And then 5 years later, it's like, yeah, we're still on break. I wouldn't be like, okay, yeah, they're still on break. It's coming back. I know the manga's been finished for years and years, but they're still coming back. I'm like, no, it's just not happening.
2020 for an anime adaptation which is coming soon. This explains why the anime was stopped despite its DVD sales exceeding that of Naruto's and even One Piece. Now moving on to the Thousand Year Blood War arc, which
was it a single DVD? Was it a month of DVD? What are you talking about, dude? You can't.
Are we talking about in America, in Europe, in Japan?
You grafted up for 20 minutes, and now you just going, yeah, I sold One Piece. Peace out.
DVD sales.
It's important now.
he praises for the first half of the arc, so I'll just skip that portion and move on to some of his criticisms.
Also, with all the filler Bleach had, how was it only 9 chapters behind?
Yeah, it was mad lousy with filler.
Portion and move on to some of his criticisms, which I disagree with. A lot of the criticisms about Ichigo and his powers I feel come from not having his progression spoon-feeded to us. Old Man Zangetsu is not entirely Yuha back. He resembles Yuha from 1000 years ago and is the physical manifestation of Ichigo's Quincy powers. He has not been secretly controlling his actions this entire time.
Okay, I'm gonna pause right here. You can see that it did better than One Piece and Naruto, with Gintama being the only long-running Jump series to surpass Bleach. The only reason I can think of is that Bleach in general had an older audience who could actually afford to buy copious amounts of DVDs. One Piece never dropped below 5 in the ratings, yet in DVD sales, it was average at best since the audience is, on average, younger. Seeing these kinds of results, among other things, gives at least some kind of leeway of the anime returning. Out of the big three, Bleach had the best overall animation quality. TV sales, TV ratings matter more for the anime than DVD sales. So basically, it could have just been that older people liked Bleach more and they bought stuff.
Mm-hmm. It could have just been people going, "Oh no, the Bleach anime is going on a break. I got to show that I'm supporting it." So they buy 2 or 3 DVDs just to pump it up a little bit.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Ichigo's powers were being suppressed by.
I know the ratings weren't great. And that matters.
Manga sales weren't great,
and that matters way more.
And Zangetsu due to his desire to not want Ichigo to fight and intend to be hurt. He did not want Ichigo to become a Shinigami to the extent that he would have killed him instead of allowing him to follow that path. Eventually, he came to accept Ichigo's wishes after seeing him overcome every injury. Old Man Zangetsu's heart wavered and he began to support Ichigo's pursuit for strength through building on his Shinigami powers. You have to realize when Ichigo needed help, he was lent his Quincy powers by Old Man Zangetsu, most notably Blut Veen, which is a Quincy defensive technique. This ability was used to stop his bleeding as early as his battle with Kenpachi in the Soul Society arc, or recently to stop Ichigo's blood from flowing by using Blut Veen against Yuha Bak. During this arc, Old Man Zangetsu...
That's some trash. Absolutely not. It is it's a thing that happened that's very similar. He did not have this in his mind back then. It's just like with Shanks and hockey. He went, yeah, I can make this work now. He did not have hockey back then. He did not have Lutvin or whatever it was back then. He just went, he was bleeding and now he ain't. So this makes sense to put it in. No.
aside and allows Ichigo's true Zanbakuto to be revealed to him, as he is no longer suppressing his powers. Ichigo as a whole is a unique anomaly in the world of Bleach. Like I mentioned throughout the series, he has his Quincy defensive technique called Blut Veen protecting him, thanks to Old Man Zangetsu, and he has his hollow powers which provide him with incredible regenerative abilities, which repair and heal his injuries. Combining...
And wouldn't that be why he stopped bleeding there?
No, it was Blut Veen. You see.
For a solid defense, resulting in Ichigo having far more endurance than the typical Shinigami. I almost forgot to mention that
he was killed by pale-faced dude. Ukiura. That's how the hollow came out. Why didn't Blut Veen help there, or Shinigami help there? What if we've seen Ichigo take more than somebody else could take?
I'm definitely listening.
Ichigo does not have unexplained power surges. He was born as a power surge. He has royal heritage.
He doesn't have unexplained power surges. He's born as a power surge. That sounds like
Yes, that sounds like, oh, we need him to have a new power. Well, now he's also a Quincy. And he's also a full brain, by the way. And he's also this, and he's also that.
Who cares if he gets a power surge? Of course he's going to get a power surge. He's like 9 things.
Yeah. He was born this way.
So why are you complaining about it?
Yeah, this was always what was going to happen.
He has high spiritual pressure because he is the descendant of the Shiba family. Once again, it isn't hard to understand why.
What a Naruto bush.
Nah, it's fine.
All the Uzumakis have
Oh, I hate it.
unbelievable chakra.
What does the Nara family get? Yeah, they're pretty good with deer, I guess. The freaking Uchiha family got these unbeatable eyes. The Hyuga family, unbeatable eyes. Choji family, they pretty fat.
Exceptional if you take the time to understand the origin of his powers and how he progresses during each arc of the series. I go through all of the character defining moments of Ichigo's journey during my Bleach Ruined Reputation video, so go and check that out if you are lost in regards to what Ichigo's purpose is.
So I guess there are no other issues with the 1,000-Year Blood War?
None whatsoever.
Bunch of bad fights.
Impossible. I didn't talk about them, and neither did iPad Wolf, so they must be
secret
real
captains who are all amazingly strong and all have a singular purpose that directly serves the plot and how people get stronger in this current moment.
What's the problem here?
It's just Ichigo problems, huh? Everything else is fine.
It's all fine. It's all good. It's all good.
Arc, and how the theme of truth plays a big part for his character during this arc.
So I was in my mind going, I don't know if this is -10. He's kind of droning. Maybe I'll bump it down to a 9.5. No, you get the 10, boy.
You gotta watch that video to understand how the theme of truth plays into the 1,000-Year Blood War. I shan't be doing that, first off.
I mean, we probably will watch it someday.
If it's this droning?
Yeah, this is ridiculous.
From this, I want to mention the weapon that Uryu uses, which is not a brand new weapon. The still silver arrowhead is created from the heart of a victim of Ashwalin. A silver clot forms within.
What were the words he just said?
You know what he said. You know
Ashwalin and silver. What?
The heart of a victim of Ashwalin. A silver clot forms within the heart of a victim. Ryuken created the arrowhead from Uryu's mother's heart. We see this in chapter 682. The still silver arrowhead nullifies the powers of the caster of Ashwalin.
Yeah, we see it is introduced and explained at the same time.
And they use like 4 chapters.
That's not good.
Upon making contact with their blood. I personally do have my own issues with the 1,000-Year Blood War arc, but I do appreciate that Kubo had a torn ligament in his shoulder which he continued to draw with for a whole year before ending the series. He gave us so much of his life, over 15 years, and at the end we can't cut him some slack. I don't get too upset.
Absolutely not.
I will cut him some slack if his art looks like crap. I'm not cutting him slack because he didn't write real good.
No, his arm has nothing to do with his brain. I don't care if a Nobel Peace Prize winner who created nuclear fission and perpetual motion did that and then diddled a kid. I'm like, well, him. But what about you? No. I don't give
all that is out the window.
Let's cut him some slack. Let's not.
So
how much slack are we cutting him?
Again, if his art looked not as good, I will 100% go, oh, his arm was up. I understand it, no problem. Like, with the My Hero chapter where it's the school festival and they're doing the band, it's just like
basically stick figures.
Yeah, he couldn't get to the deadline in time, so I'm just like, all right, you know what? It was a shorter week. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? But you wrote the plot. The plot is the problem.
And this is in the era of Hunter x Hunter, where Homeboy's taking 8-month breaks. Take 6 months off.
Nope, you're not allowed to that.
But why is Tagashi?
Because he made a special deal apparently or some. No, I'm so serious. You don't remember one of the Hunter x Hunter boys where it was just like he must have took a special deal because of the end of Yu Yu Hakusho to where he could do whatever he wants with his mom.
That was just theorizing.
Yep. What else can you put it as though? This month puts out 4 chapters a year. If even.
But yeah, why he could have done something.
Nah,
at
with the way
point,
Bleach was headed.
At a certain point, you break your own arm or your finger. Break a finger and just go, my finger's broke. I can't do anything.
You better use your mouth. You got assistance. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm not just going. His arm was hurting. Cut him some slack. Absolutely not.
Again, I will absolutely cut him slack for art.
But
as
art
far
was
as
fine.
storytelling and stuff, absolutely not.
Final portions of the story being rushed, because I know that Kubo will be involved with the anime production staff, and a lot of the unresolved plot points will be addressed when the anime comes back.
Wow, so all the unresolved stuff we got right now is fine because we may get something in the future.
5 years later, that's the same thing as the ReZero people. Just going season 2, the books, the novels. Kiss my balls.
Season 1, what's up?
That's my personal take on the ending of Bleach. I know that the epilogue of the series was exactly how we planned it to be from the very beginning, but I admit that the final portions of the 1000-Year Blood War arc wasn't exactly the way that he wanted to conclude the story. This again is credited to his health issues at the time of publication, which he ignored long enough until he had to stop to take care of himself. I do appreciate that I haven't addressed every single point that was made in Eyepatchwolf's video. Due to the time-sensitive nature of this response, I wanted this video up as soon as possible. And because
wow! To capitalize as quickly as possible on Eyepatchwolf's video, I gotta put mine up
just
ASAP.
Pump it out. Oh man, this is looking a little short. Let me just give some summaries, synopsises. Here we go. Boom, boom. I'm not gonna mention all of his points, but I hit the most important ones. I just got to get this video out. Boom, boom.
I'm totally burnt out after literally thinking about this video for 3 whole days. I went through the effort so that an alternative perspective can be heard to the points that were made in
3 days, and you couldn't hit all the points.
I went through the effort so that an alternative perspective can be heard to the points that were made in Super Eyepatchwolf's video. I didn't mention anything about the TV ratings because it falls into the same argument as manga sales which I made. The problem.
But you want to bring up DVD sales? Do you want the cake or do you want to eat it as well?
Dwindling TV ratings is not a problem exclusive to Bleach. Look at the ratings of Black Clover.
Pause. I'm not gonna bring this up, but here it is though.
But let me speak real quick about it.
Piece or Naruto.
I'm not gonna say your teeth are jacked, but you looking like the top of the White Castle building, homie.
Over time. In addition to this, with the advent of digital streaming, a decline was to be expected across the board.
Goodness.
So to wrap all of this,
but you're not gonna give the same type of leeway to like Black Clover and My Hero as far as digital reading goes.
No, absolutely not.
Them still have.
Yep.
I want to point out that Super Eyepatchwolf is entitled to his own opinion. Like,
everybody is.
Shut up.
To mine. I mentioned at the start of the video that I didn't make this video to publicly out him, so don't expect me to tolerate any personal attacks on the guy in the comments, because this comes from a place of mutual respect and understanding. However, if there were any points that I have missed or you want to add to anything that I have said, then feel free to continue the discussion in the comments. And also, Mr. Tomo, who also makes really great Bleach videos, has made his own response to Super Eyepatchwolf.
But subscribe to me as opposed to him.
Video. So after this, definitely go and check out his channel and his response. Thank you for watching to this point, and I hope that this video is a suitable counter-argument to the points that were made in Super.
Maybe we should do his response and then Eyepatches for the 30. We'll think about it.
Yeah.
If you enjoyed this video,
I didn't. -10.
Yeah, -10. Big -10. He's not. Just first off, very droning. I don't think his voice went up or down anywhere through that.
It's not even the funny type of droning like that Hunter x Hunter dude. This is just like info voice.
Yeah, 100%. Just nature documentary.
Welcome to Movie Phone. Your movie starts at 2 p.m.
It's like when you're in the freaking museums and you got the little headphones.
Yeah. The Paleozoic era was... Oh, thanks.
Yeah, this is That's number one, dude. You got to get some sort of emotion in your voice. I can't imagine you're like that in real life. And why would you not? What you're making the choice to do this? Why? What's the reason?
They look at stuff like documentary filmmakers, and they have that very the cheetah is one of, and it's just like, okay, if I want to deliver information in that realm, I need to do it same way.
It's terrible.
It's terrible.
But yeah, bad points. Just like Bleach, but you're just going, oh, it's so deep. It's really not.
It's really not. You're
unless you have to really make it.
You're reading into it. You said it yourself. These are my theories. Blah blah blah. You're reading into it on your own way and going, it's so great because of the way I look at it.
Yeah, Eye Patch Wolf isn't looking at it deep enough, and all that crap like that.
All the surface level Eye Patch Wolf.
So you have to go really deep in order for it to be good. Why can't it? You go, it's good, but then once I look deeper, oh, it's great now. You gotta do all that. No, dude. Bleach ain't good. This video ain't good. Eye Patch Wolf's video probably ain't really good.
It's not no probably about it. Because he's not a good analyst. -10.
Big negative.
Do know what we're doing next.
Bleach Month rolls on.
Bleach Month rolls on. Next time